All right, Matt Gannon, yours for the second time in I think 3 pods. We've had 5 minutes in. We've had to restart. This time was an audio issue on my end, but I believe now that situation should be solved going forward. I've been all over the place. In New York. I come out here to SF. I've been in SF. I'm in hotels. I'm back and forth. It's tough to get the consistent pod set up. So apologies to you personally for that 5 minutes that we weren't able to use because it was a quality 5 minutes. We'll try to replicate the fives. But what I was saying in those 5 minutes, Jers, was that it's the 1 year anniversary of the pod this week. So shout out to everybody who has been a listener from day one, and shout out to everybody who is a listener for the very first time today. We appreciate all of you. And what we're also saying is a rare Sunday pod. We're recording this on Sunday because Torrey, shout out to Torrey for ending on a Saturday. The NFL's on the TV over here, but it's golf season now. There's no NFL games next weekend. There's a lot of people. We see it on the site every year. We see it in the traffic and things like that. When NFL kind of dies down, everybody gets into golf. Here it comes. We're here. Pebble Week. Beautiful. What more could we ask for?
Yeah, even friends that don't bet golf were hitting me up recently saying, once NFL ends, I want to start tailing you on golf bets. So just regular people are going to start dialing into the coverage, to the events, going to get more eyes on the sport. And what other spot would you want it at for Pebble? Great views, great for the tour. Hopefully we can have some not have some slack in every single week, hating on the views, hating on everything possible. So Pebble has an opportunity to do something great. Hopefully, great field. So we'll see.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, we're not haters, but we give some takes sometimes that are probably like hater takes. But at the end of the day, we watch all golf. If it's on, we're watching. If there's 2 people who are watching, it's going to be you and I. We'll be there. We'll have our eyes on it. And one of those things that is new that took place in the last week, you were there. TGL credentialed under Vinceric's Golf. It was a beautiful moment for me to see the Vinceric's Golf credential after a few years of doing this. And in the previous 6 minutes that will live on forever, but no one will ever hear when the audio issues are happening, I was mentioning, because the people who are listening and aren't watching, I'm wearing my Husky hat right now. And I was saying I'm more of a college football fan than an NFL fan. But I tied it all back together to TGL because Billy Ho, my guy, I think I've hit more winners on Billy Ho than any other golfer. I love the vibe. He's 5th in the dog rankings for a reason. Like, Billy Ho's my guy. He showed up to TGL. Your first time being Boots there for an event. You've obviously been there previously, but first time for it in live action. He showed up in a Penix jersey, and it was as beautiful of a moment. I didn't think I could love Billy Ho more than I already did. He's my favorite golfer for life now. It was never really in question, but now it's set in stone. But how was the TGL experience? How was it to see Billy Ho in the flesh? To see Pat Cantlay up close, our guy? How was TGL? How was it?
Yeah, Patrick Cantlay is definitely my favorite Atlanta athlete of all time. I'm sure he's a lot of people's favorite Atlanta athlete. But yeah, TGL was great. It's something that the TV does not do the arena justice. It is like you're in a hockey arena, like you're in a basketball arena, but the screens, the technology is just unreal. I know it got a lot of slack, but everything gets a lot of slack nowadays. So I think TGL is on the right path. I think there's going to be kinks. It's a brand new league. There's going to be kinks. Obviously, we have Rory and Tiger Monday night, so should be a fun watch. The view should be up for that. I'm excited to see what's going to happen in the playoffs. What's going to happen when there's actually a close match, because we're yet to see that. And the way that the league's set up, it's going to be fun. Like there's hammers thrown in the last few holes, stuff like that. I think that hopefully Rory and Tiger can make it a close match. But overall, great experience. Got to meet a ton of cool people.
Yeah, and shout out the tour and TGL. I think one thing that I hope is, it seems like the way that the tour, because I'll be honest, I've watched a little bit of TGL. I haven't seen a lot of it. I see all the social media clips. Like you've said, if golf is being played, that's cool with me. I don't care if it's Live, TGL, DP World Tour, LPGA, PGA, doesn't matter. Like, I like golf. But what I hope happens is that there's been, and you saw it up close, and you've been to tour events, obviously, up close as well, in majors and things like that. Like, the level of commitment from like a social media, from a marketing perspective, from a making the event fun and something that's like not old and stodgy, I guess. Like, TGL's committed to it from a media perspective, and I think it sees it. Like a lot of people who it's, difficult sometimes to get credentialed to big PGA Tour events and things like that. Like, TGL's opening the doors to kind of anyone who wants to go there and tell the story of TGL and talk about it. That is what I hope like kind of permeates to the tour. I hope they're taking learnings from how TGL's marketing is going. And yes, did the numbers go down a little bit for viewership of TGL, but being there and kind of seeing that, do you agree that there's an opportunity to kind of take the vibe around TGL and apply it to ultimately what I think people are still going to always watch more of, which is traditional PGA Tour?
Yeah, I'm shocked as to how many athletes and professional people are just there. Even the people that aren't associated with the ownership of the league or ownership of the team. It's like there's a long list of people that want to be at these events, and I think that's just a great way to get more people into golf. When people see their favorite athletes or their favorite celebrities posting Instagram stories of TGL, just click on that, what's this, and go on a rabbit hole until you're down watching the Bahrain Championship. So that's what hopefully it leads to. So I think it's all good. All golf is good golf.
The waterfall effect of TGL is like all-time viewership at the Bahrain Championship this week on the DP World.
Yeah.
We'll know. The official metric is if TGL is succeeding, because obviously people post the viewership numbers and the social media interactions. No, it's how many people end up watching the DP World Tour. That is how we're going to
via rabbit hole,
whether TGL is succeeding. So you were there. That was awesome. Obviously, we also support Liv. So if Liv is listening and they're like, oh, these guys are going to TGL now, invite us to Live Riyadh. We'll do Boots Under the Light. Somebody needs to be doing Boots. So we'll bring golf together. Ultimately, you give us the opportunity. We'll go to all these events. We'll tie it all together. But yeah, that was fun. Shout out to you for doing that. And now shout out to the listeners and the subs for keeping all of this moving forward. It's been awesome. Again, start to the year, both on the site and on the pod. If you're listening and can toss a like and subscribe on YouTube if we deserve it, toss it on there if we earn it. The 5-star review on whatever your favorite podcast network is. And then we've got the Discord, the free Discord@vincerix.com. Just shoot us an email and we'll get you added in there. We've got the tennis going in there, Jers. We always cover the tennis majors. Madison Keys, 50-1. Honestly, one of the greatest hits I've had in any context ever, because I only bet 3 people and they were 50 or I think they were 50-1, 55-1, and 60-1. So it ended up being like an 18x like winner. Wow. And I only bet the majors for tennis. So I'm good for the year on tennis. I haven't hit anything on the golf course yet, but it was a joy to
and did you watch, how many of your matches did you watch?
So it's weird timing because I'm out here in San Francisco, and it was like some of the matches would start around 7:30 p.m. and that was perfect. I just, eat some food, watch. I watched the last set of the Rybakina match, because ultimately, like with tennis, it's kind of like, are they facing someone who can actually, it's going to, basically when she was favorite against some, low level players, I'm like, if she can't beat them, then I don't care anyway. So I wasn't watching those. But last set of the Rybakina match she won was good. I happened to wake up in the middle of the night. She was playing Shiontek, who's like obviously one of the top women's players. They went to a tiebreak. I happened to wake up randomly in the middle of the night when it was 1-1 in the 10-point tiebreaker, laying in bed, opened up my phone, got the ESPN Plus stream going, watched her win that 10-8.
Crispy ESPN Plus stream.
Yeah. Oh, the Wi-Fi and the visual was beautiful, crisp ESPN Plus. And then the final kicked off at 12:30 Pacific, and I stayed up for that because I have that ticket in the final against Sabalenka, who I saw them play at Arthur Ashe a couple years ago in a semifinal when it also had Keys 51. For anyone who's like, why are they talking about women's tennis? First of all, it's our pod. We'll talk about whatever we want. But second of all, I wanted to try to compare who Madison Keys is to the golf world to try to, if there's a few people listening who are like, I'm going to give tennis a chance at the next major, which will be the French Open, which is honestly the worst one to watch because the coverage is terrible. The other 3 are every single match is on ESPN Plus, which is sick. This to me is like Tony Finau winning a major. That's what Madison Keys winning.
Wow. Okay. So she's won before, like smaller events when she was younger.
Yeah, well, when she first came up, I think she turned pro like 14 or 16, which is Tony Finau also turned pro like I think pretty early on. She was supposed to be the next big thing. Like she was supposed to be winning majors from a young age. She made a major final at a pretty young age, but and then she's won, like, I don't know, double-digit number of times on just the normal WTA tour. People were kind of like, she's never going to win a major. She's come close. She's had some tragic losses, but it was very to me, she's Tony Finau. So that's the connection. That ties everything together. Is
good comp. No, that's a good comp.
Do we think that means that Tony Finau might win his first major this year?
No, he doesn't care about golf.
Okay. See, that's the difference. She talked about how she was thinking about like not caring about tennis anymore, but she recommitted herself for like one last late career push. So that is where it differentiates between her and Finau. So yeah. So like and subscribe, get in the Discord.
And you also had a Novak single bullet who gave it a run.
Novak single bullet on the men's side. He gave it a run. I think he might have won. Like I'm a big Novak fan. I think he is one of the goats of sports all time, maybe the goat of sport all time. But he came down with an injury in the semifinal. Unfortunately, was not able to continue on, but he definitely outperformed his plus 650. I think he was plus 200 going into that semifinal because he had a down year last year. But I think we got to keep our eyes on Novak. If we get another chance at like a plus 400 or above number in the majors on Djokovic, we're gonna have to strike there. But yeah, that was awesome. Appreciate people. I sometimes can't decide if I'm going to bet the tennis or not, but there's always a few people in the Discord who reach out before the majors start and are like, are you doing majors? Are you doing the bets? And I appreciate those people for spurring me to get in on it because it ended up paying off super well. So again, the Discord. And then one more new thing, sticking with the women's sports, Jersey, the LPGA season is starting this week. News. Huge news. LPGA on the site. It's going to be on the site. There's going to be course previews. There's going to be early leans, and there's going to be bets from somebody who we met through the Discord, longtime supporter of the pod. Shout out to Extended Wrists in the Discord. Jock is his name. He's our boy, and he hits winners on the LPGA at an impressive rate. And we always say the site, and we've said this a million times, the site is not to go on the site and tail picks. Never has been, never will be. No. That's not the point. It's to give content, to let you ultimately make your decision. But he knows his shit, basically. He's a ball knower, is what I'm saying. And now that's going to be up on the site. We're going to do it for free for some period of time just because, like, at the end of the day, it's new. We want people to start following the LPGA. I want to start betting the LPGA. I know you do too. Yeah. This is going to get us into the LPGA. How excited are you about getting that up on the site?
Yeah, I mean, Extendo Wrist just absolutely prince winners in this market, but I'm happy that it's on the site because this is perfect for me because I want to learn more about the LPGA, learn more about the courses, learn more about the girls, and this is a perfect segue. Probably going to tail him at first a little bit, and then I could see myself making a few cards here and there because you and I only know a handful of LPGA golfers. I follow it for the Malbon. There's so many Malbon girls, which is a beautiful thing. So I'm excited for this week. Where are they playing this week? Do you know?
That's the thing. I think they're playing at Lake Nona. They're down in Florida. It's basically like the Century, I think, but it's in Florida.
Should I go?
You might have to get boots. Then boots LPGA. That'd be sick. But yeah, so that's going to be up on the site. It's going to be, to your point, I think, yeah, I'll probably be tailing first few weeks, but I want to get to know the players a little bit better, who excels in this stat versus that stat. It's not going to be like super data driven because ultimately all the data doesn't really exist yet for the LPGA, or it's not like disseminated widely, but he's going to talk about what are the keys for the week, what type of skill sets and which kind of golfers make sense. And yeah, it's my hope too that in a few weeks I start to get a better sense and start putting some cards together because what do we always say? The more things to check on your phone from a golf betting perspective, the better. And if we can add LPGA to that, then I mean, we're living life.
Yeah. I'm excited. Let's do it. Rose Zhang defending champ.
Mm-hmm. Rose is defending. So so all that's up on the site. Long story short, no winners on the golf course, but still a little bit of Vic Lap season. Shout out Madison Keys for winning the tennis. Ultimately, tennis sweat to me is actually the number one sweat. It does not get better than a tennis sweat. So I think you should start.
I've never had one except for when we were driving to Pinehurst.
Yeah, when Sebastian Soderberg missed the tap-in to lose the Scandi mixed, and we were tracking the Zverev Alcaraz final, because this was also awesome because I guess it's similar to golf. Like, I've had so many people make the final at like long odds in tennis, and then they lose the final every time because you face always like the very top player. Usually it's so hard to actually win. And so you make your money betting people like make semis or win their quarters or like make the finals. Mm-hmm. For this to actually hit, I was like, finally. I did not get my hopes up until she was holding the trophy because I was still like, something's going to go wrong here. It's not going to come to be. But the last time it was close was that drive when we were watching Zverev and Alcaraz en route to Pinehurst. And Pinehurst is a U.S. Open golf course. And want to know what else is a U.S. Open golf course? Torrey Pines is a U.S. Open golf course. Jersey. Sure, and that hosted the event this week. Harris English. Want to know who else fucks at the U.S. Open? Harris English. He's a U.S. Open specialist. He wins. I'll be honest, I didn't get to watch as much as I wanted to. I was tracking actually pretty closely, but I wasn't watching closely. We gave our Torrey takes before the week. We said that we like Torrey in the sense that beautiful golf course, a serious test. We asked it. My problem is You can't be a person who goes like, I want to see a challenging golf course. I want to see single-digit scores. Oh, birdie fest, yada, yada, and then shit on Torrey. You legitimately can't do that. Like, that is as far of like difference of a spectrum of take that you can give. I'm fine with birdie fest. We can't have them all the time. I'm also fine with some difficult tests. And at the end of the day, Jersey, these guys are really fucking good at golf. And you got to come up with some weird stuff sometimes to test them. And if that's deep rough, and if that's testing greens and wind, so be it. And Torrey delivered that for us this week. What were your overall thoughts on the event and Harris picking up the championship?
Yeah, I mean, it was so polarizing during the week, the Torrey hate and just different opinions on it, that we had to post multiple YouTube shorts defending Torrey and just saying how great it was to watch. And sure, it was a long Sunday round, a long weekend, but that's a different conversation. But it was great seeing some guys battle it out and win in single digits, eject. Like, there was every hole you could eject on. Hole 3 was fucking amazing yesterday. 130-yard par 3 that they were hitting flighted 9-irons into and coming nowhere close, like literally nowhere close to the greens on a lot of them. Hardest hole on the course yesterday.
Aldi Potts ejected there, right?
Yeah, he made a 5. He went I think he went from the native area, bunker, then down to the valley and 2-putt. So eject city on that hole. It was a great test. I'm happy we're going back there. So if you want to shit on Torrey, but I like watching guys have some difficult tests every now and then. So no beef with Torrey Pines. I understand that it's.
And from a betting perspective, I mean, at the end of the day, Harris held on to the third round lead, showed some dog, took it across the finish line there. But it's always, and it always has been, and it definitely was this week, and I'm hoping it will be again in a few weeks. It's a volatile betting event. Like, your guys are never in it or never out of it. Anything can happen at Torrey. My guys were kind of there, and then they imploded in the final round to not even have a chance to win. But going into the final round, you really feel like anyone could win because of the fact that you can make both a 6 and a 3 on the same hole. And when that can happen on 14 of the holes on the golf course, the par 5s are no gimmies. You can make bogeys or birdies on the par 5s. Like, I don't honestly get the Torrey hate. I'm rehashing exactly what I said on the last pod, but it's like, I've gotten more into the architectural side of golf as we've gone to these majors, as we've seen these amazing golf courses in person. We talked about it at Troon. It's like, how did the person who invented Troon think of this? Because this course stands up to the test of the modern game, and like, you see how it does it, and it's like, fuck, this is so smart. No. Is Torrey some like genius architectural strategy? No, but like all the other things that people talk about caring about for golf tournaments, it does literally every single other one of them.
Yeah, literally everything you could ask for in terms of a viewing and betting perspective. So, literally, truthfully, no beef. And like I said last week also, yeah, it's repetitive, but yeah, do those things. Hit those long and straight golf shots time and time again. I don't find it boring to watch those guys do that. So, I'm excited to watch it again. 4 days on the South Course. Inject it.
I'm down. And what the other thing it does is, we talked about this on the last pod. This is like a Vic Lap statistical take for the week. It is kind of a putting contest in the sense that it's not this only guys who bomb it off the tee have a chance to win. Because people say like, oh, I can't, like, I'm out on Torrey because it's only bomber central. Like, it's all about driving. Yeah, that's one way to play good. Sam Stevens played good by being great tee to green. Sungjae obviously drives it well. There was guys up there at times. Aldi Potts is a clear like bomber profile guy. Yes, does it give those guys an opportunity above maybe the average course to just lean on that skill set and get in the mix? Yes. But again, Harris English gained over 2 strokes per round putting on the greens. When I say it's a putting contest, I mean that like to win, you need to spike big time with the flat stick. That's now 6 straight years. This goes back a long time at Torrey. But why it's not your birdie fest putting contest that like we aren't the biggest fans of. These are testing putts. These are snapping 6-footers that you got to start outside the hole. This is POA where there's going to be some bumps and some changes. Like, you got to make putts, but you got to make putts with dog. You got to step up there and make some serious putts. And for me, that's the difference between like a shitty putting contest and like, oh, this is actually fun to watch, because you never know if a guy's going to make the putt or miss the putt. Harris just steps up there and he rolls it in difficult conditions. And ultimately that's what gets him over the line.
Cool, calm, and collected. And the Harris English is, I was trying to kind of trusting my numbers going into the week. I trusted my model, trusted my numbers, and I had some guys in the mix, but it wasn't the best card I ever made. But Harris English, like looking back at it, great number. he wasn't coming in with the greatest incoming form, but we talked about him at Sony Open. I thought he looked great out there, and I didn't think a win was coming, but I was high on Harris English after I saw him at Boots. So looking back at it, there could have been a way where I got to Harris English, but I'm not upset that I didn't bet him. Obviously, it was just a great win from Harris. I love watching him in contention because it looks like the most level-headed man, like truly of all time. Just goes about his thing, doesn't talk, just does. It's just fun to watch, and he's an absolute flusher when he gets it going. So, shout out Harris for sure.
He also just like chomps on that gum. Like even in the post-round interview, you could tell he was still in like dog mindset because he was just like chomp. He looked the same in the interview as he did on the course. He hadn't quite clearly like translated from, oh my God, I just won the tournament. Dog rankings, Harris was 19th on the week in the field dog rankings. That's 4 straight top 20 events for the field dog rankings. He's not in the top 50 of the global dog rankings. Obviously, that's a weaker field, and that's why each week we still rank the top 30 regardless of if they're – obviously, the order is anybody in the top 50 keeps their same order, and then I go through and I dog rank the rest of the people. I think this week, since it's signature, I might just do 20 guys because you can't give out 30 strokes gained dog points in a 70-man field. So maybe just do 20 this week. But either way, he's 19. Harris has dog. I'm not going to move him into the top 50. I don't think it's like I could, but
what he did in Memphis, a lot is lost for that.
I also had him at Shriners over the fall swing, and he was like tied with he was leading Posty on Saturday at Shriners, and then he completely fell apart. So that's why he's currently not in the dog rankings, because I'm holding that against him. He's definitely on the cusp of the top 50. I'm going to think about it. I'll report back in the updated dog rankings, which will obviously be up on the site tomorrow. TBD if Harris will sneak into the top 50, but he has dog. He's not a low dog player. He's just maybe not in the top 50. It's hard to get in the top 50. We're not just giving out spots in the top 50. Who's not in the top 50? There's a couple of guys are not in the top 50. One of those guys is Sungjae, and we're gonna get to Ludvig here in a second. But let's start with Sungjae. He's not in the dog rankings. He's always high in the models. He's an all green data golf style of player. Shout out Willie because Sungjae gave Willie.
And he knows it.
Enough. How excited is Willie for the fact that he gets to go do signature no-cut event at Torrey with Sungjae in a few weeks? He might be able to make a deposit on a house just based on the fact that this is coming because it's the most guaranteed money that's ever been given out.
Yeah, I think that Torrey and then Quail Hollow are going to be the most auto T4s for Sungjae and Willie's bank account of all time. So literally, what a life. Doesn't have to talk to his golfer. Carries his bags and just prints and doesn't have to deal with being in contention. He kind of dealt with it a little bit yesterday. And as soon as he got there, he made a bogey with a wedge. Then he chipped in twice in a row because I'm out of contention now. Why not chip in twice in a row? So yeah, shout out Willie. Just what a life.
Was there ever, because I didn't get to watch much. I was tracking so I could see the scores, but I didn't know like the vibe. Did Sungjae ever look like he might have a chance to win, or was it a perfect backdoor? Because I put in the Discord and I thought this was true because I was just looking at this leaderboard, and besides Harris, which honestly that's where dog came through, like Harris was the only guy on the leaderboard going to the final round, even in the top 30 of the dog rankings for the week. This was a low dog leaderboard. I was like, if there was ever a week to backdoor, post a number, and win by accident, it was going to be this week for Sungjae going to that final round. But even he was unable to get above his patented T4. So what did it look like?
Yeah, he was 4 under or 5 under on the front 9, like on the round, where the leaders were around 6, 7, 8, and they were just hovering and making bogeys and making mistakes. So there was a world where I thought 6 could have won, 5 could have won, because you never know what could happen on that back 9. And so, yeah, I think he knew that he was in contention and had a chance to do it. He was being shown like every shot or most of his shots throughout the round. So there was definitely a world in which he could have done there. And as soon as he got, I think 1 or 2 within the lead, he made a birdie on 8, and then on 9 he had a 100-yard wedge into hole 9 par 5 and just put it in the bunker and made 6. So and then immediately chipped in. So yeah, there's definitely a world where Sungjae was in contention and could have won.
Shout out Willie. That's all I wanted to say. Shout out Willie. Great week for him. We're honest. We're starting to make some connections with some of the players, but we still have to give our honest takes. BSB, Andrew Novak is a legit man. He couldn't be more the man. Kind of a low dog player, if we're being honest. Again, that's why I'm saying that. Like, he hasn't shown the dog in the final round. I think BSB would come on here and I would love to talk to him about, how do you get over that hump? But it was a thrill to see that BSB was up there on the leaderboard at Torrey making 60-foot putts. He was who I was rooting for more than anyone. I didn't have anyone in the mix. My heart was 100% behind BSB Novak. Comes up short. Didn't quite get there. How did it look from him in the mix? Did he look like he was going to win? Because again, purely watching from a distance, I wanted him to win, but I kind of felt like there was no way he was going to beat Harris. Did it ever look like he was going to beat Harris?
As soon as the round started, I was like, okay, I don't see he has the dog. Immediately made two straight bogeys. Then it was 3 straight birdies. And in the middle of the round, he started banging some nice par saves. And he was hanging there, kind of showing like one of the most dogs signs of dog for sure. And then he just couldn't really get it going, but towards the last few holes. But I think the middle of the round, like some dog grew inside of Andrew Novak. And he talked about those putts. I was talking to him today, and he said he wants to show. Him and I are both Panthers fans, so that's why we talk. And he said he wants to show the Carolina Panthers a highlight montage of him making those like par saves in the middle of the round, because that he knows what dog is. Like he knows that was needed, and so obviously he's a younger guy in terms of PGA Tour reps. He's mixed a lot more than a lot of the golfers. So I think good things are coming for BSB. Yeah, we've been calling him for BSB for like 2.5 years now, by the way. Like,
yeah, I think he was like first round leader at a Florida Swing event like a few years ago, and that's when he became BSB, because he used to be only stripes, like he would be vintage ball striking and not good at anything else. The short game now is nice. That's why I think ultimately Torrey's a good course for him, because around the greens and stuff, BSB has shots, and I think for him, based on what you just said, we need to get to the point where, because I agree, the future is bright for our boy. We need it to be where he's not thinking like, oh, those were like signs of dog in the middle of the round, to just like, I have dog, like these par putts, I'm going to go talk to the Carolina Panthers, not about these par putts, just about me, because I'm BSB Novak and I win golf tournaments. I think if we can get over that hump, I think he could. How many do you think we could get multiple career PGA Tour wins out of our guy?
I really do. Like, especially he fucks in those weak field events too. So I'm down. Like, I think I could see him winning this year. So
honestly, one of the problems has been like his odds. I think he was around like 130 to 1, which is still like, those are kind of, his odds have been drifting lower. Like in those weak field events, he's usually like 30, 40 to 1, even in these like somewhat stronger fields. So he's becoming too consistent, where we're not getting the numbers on BSB that we ultimately.
This is his first elevated event he's ever played in this week, and he's 200 to 1. Yeah. I didn't know he was playing. I didn't know he was playing either. Then we were talking, and I was like, where are you next? And he said, Pebble. I said, what? Elevated man. He goes, yeah, first one. So 200 to 1 BSB.
That's sick. I'll probably just bet him, because having like hitting BSB 200 to 1 when he's friends of the pod, it could have nothing could be better than that.
Dude, nothing. I was on Saturday when it was really starting to kick into gear, like the leaderboard. BSB and Chris Goddard were both T1, and I was like, this is the best thing that could ever happen. Like, I even though I wasn't on any of them, I would have loved to be on one of them if they were to hit. But see, and there was a point where it was just them two, T1. I was like, this is my dream scenario, and it made so much sense. Absolute strokes gained D up to the top, and
and the thing is too, it's like we've said this many times on the pod. Yeah, we care about betting, we care about the numbers, we care about hitting our bets more than anything, but it's fun now that we just have some guys, some kind of random guys. Like Andrew Novak would be the first guy to admit he's not like the most well-known player on the PGA Tour. But like now when these guys get in the mix or Posty, it's like, I have something to root for beyond when I have a guy or don't have a guy in the mix. So
there's actually I'm not going to mention him, but there's only one golfer that I actually like would root against, like on like I don't want you, like a personal level, like outside of betting, just so. Everyone's been so cool. So having these guys like BSB and Goddard up to really pull for when they're up in the mix is a good thing, like you said.
Yeah, and I think too that's one of the things. Like,
we'll talk after the pod. I'll tell you.
Yeah, we'll talk after the pod. But it's like most of these guys are just cool guys. At the end of the day, that like you would just hang out with and chat with anyway. And the PGA Tour, because of back to the TGL stuff, like how bad they are at marketing the tour. These guys don't really have a personality built around them, but they're all cool dudes. All dudes that I think anyone who's listening to the pod is a ball knower would enjoy just chatting golf with. So we're gonna try to get some guys on the pod. That's where this kind of all ties together. We're gonna try to get some guys on the pod. We're gonna try to add some content to this. A few more things from Torrey. Viking Cup. Chris Ventura, T4.
3 in the T15. 3 Vikings in the T15.
Ventura, Sammy Balamaki, and Tommy Dietz.
And Dietz. Well, let's go. Driver putter to the moon. This leaderboard is hilarious.
Ventura.
Dude, actually, what'd you say?
I was going to say Ventura lost strokes off the T2. If he did his normal profile, he might have won.
It's actually hilarious. This is off topic. Not off topic, but Aldrich Potts is the most driver putter in the history, I think, of the world.
Oh, easily. Well, the only other one who's as driver putter as him is Alejandro Del Rey, who won at Ras Al Khaimah, which is infuriating. We can talk to you at the end. I went on and I quickly on like Monday jotted down in my phone numbers that like looked good to me on the DP. I put like 7 people down. I bet 6 of those 7 people, the 7th person, Alejandro Del Rey, 125-1. So I
bet Del Rey last week, of course.
Oh, you did? Okay. Well,
yeah.
I'm more upset about that than I think I've vocalized in like group chats and things like that. That one hurt, but I'm at the point with golf where it's like, I'm not going to let it bother me. And plus Madison Keys won. So I was like, whatever.
Yeah. No.
But what we have to talk about here, this kind of ties in. We'll start tying this into Pebble. Is Ludvig Åberg. And we've talked about Ludvig on this pod many times. You've been a loyalist behind his game, behind his talent for a long time. I've come around. I was a hater kind of at first, but I agree now. And I have
about that. You hated Lud.
I did. Well, I didn't hate him. I'm going to tie this all still ties together because I still feel the same way that I did then, but just slightly differently. I didn't think like people are like, oh, generational driver, this guy's stripes. When he first came out, I didn't have any numbers to base it off of. I was like, whatever. I agree. Flusher. Nobody denies that. We've seen it. I've seen it with my own eyes now. Like, it is beautiful to watch. But we've also realized over the last year, Jers, that Ludvig is a low dog player, and to be crowned with greatness and he's going to win 500 majors and be the greatest player ever. That's what I always had an issue with. And I still have an issue with that right now because he's not in the top 50 of the dog rankings. That's a Vic for us. He is a top player in the world, and he's not in the top 50 of the dog rankings. The only top players in the world, when you do the skill to dog ratio, which we've been talking about, skill to dog ratio, the 2 worst or 3 worst players in the world would be Ludvig, Sungjae, and Russ Henley. Those are the 3 guys who have all the talent, but don't make the top 50 of the dog rankings. And he gets off to the -9 start. He's most tipped at like 9-1. He was sick, apparently. Apparently, Ludvig was sick. The only illness that Ludvig had, in my opinion, was low dog, because I don't need to hear that you're sick. I don't care. You're -9. You're the best player in this tournament outside of Hideki. The tournament is in your hands to win or lose. He was -9 after the first round. -8 won the tournament. He wasn't even close by the time Saturday came around.
T42.
T42?
Yeah.
He finished T42. I didn't even know that.
T42 shot a 79 on Sunday.
Okay. See, and there's probably people listening, maybe even new-time listeners, who are like, this guy's an asshole. Ludvig was sick. Like, cut the man some slack. Okay. I like Ludvig. I've said this. Seeing him now, like, he is a nice guy.
He's the leader of the Viking Cup team for a reason. Like, he's our guy.
He is captain of the Viking Cup. Like, I don't dislike Ludvig from a personal level. I like him. I don't want to come on here and say, like, oh, he's not really sick. But he was sick. I'm just saying. It was his tournament to lose, and he didn't even come. He finished T42, Jers. How could anyone now give a take that this man is some shoe-in to win a shit ton of majors and all this stuff? I don't think you can make that take legitimately based on what he's done so far. What is State of the Union from your perspective on Ludvig?
Yeah, I agree. And I tweeted on Wednesday afternoon, like, this is a massive litmus test for Ludvig's future strokes gained dog metric. Like, literally, it's a perfect couldn't be a better golf course for his game. Field is super weak. It's his to lose. You're the betting favorite. You're -9. It didn't even come close to mixing. Wasn't even anywhere near mixing. So, and I also want to touch on something that you've brought up for a long time now that I think has to be that I think the world has to know. Part of Ludvig's low dog is his pace of play. We are all for fast pace of play. It is awesome how fast Ludvig plays the game. But when you are in the lead, when you're about to win a golf tournament, slow down a tad. Just slow down a tad. Take a deep breath, maybe an extra second over the ball. And Ludvig goes taps and goes, which is a beautiful thing to watch. It's a robot. That's probably part of the reason why he's good. But it's time and time again when Ludvig gets in this spot, things might be moving too quickly. And you've mentioned that a ton of times over the last year, and we saw it happen again in real time.
Yeah, that's been my take on him. It's the Ryan Fox take. It's that's great for playing for the first 3 days of the tournament. That's great for being first round leader. That's great for when you have the skill that Ludvig has to mint top 10 finishes on the PGA Tour and make a shit ton of money and win a handful of events and have a great career that way. But yeah, he plays too fast in the final rounds, and it happens with his swing too, because you see all I get part of it. Oh, this is the most beautiful swing I've ever seen. It's so simple. It's so repeated, but it is quick. His swing is fast, and it can get out of sequence, and it's a very rhythm style of swing. So I just agree with you. And I think going into this year, that was something that I was monitoring with Ludvig was how would him, and we also give this take a lot, Scovern, not a strokes gained dog caddy because he caddied for Ricky. Now he's caddying for Ludvig. I was hoping there's some way that we would start implementing some of this slowing down, playing with dog. And ultimately, I am concerned after what took place, regardless of the illness or not. And I think it's because I want to see some of the things we've been talking about implemented. And maybe it happened soon enough, but that was kind of my takeaway. It was just like, all right, the year has started, and all these people want to say, this is the year Ludvig pops off. Concerning signs out of the gates.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm happy with the way it turns out because we talked about him heading into the week, how it made sense, but we're not going to touch that 9-10 to 1. Give me a 22 at Torrey Pines at the Genesis. Give me a 20. I'm in.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's where obviously this take is also tied into. It's just the betting number. If Ludvig was 40 to 1 every week or 30 to 1, we would be the most happy people to bet him every single week that exists. It's just like he gets treated. Even after the first round, people are like, oh, here we go. Ludvig's going to pull away. It's like, based on what evidence? He has done nothing. Like that's the part that I don't get. It's just like he's going to win. Like obviously, he's 9 to 1.
His win was a backdoor win. Was it not?
He at Omega was like backdoor, but he won the RSM. But it's like he beat Eric Cole at the RSM. I had Eric Cole that week. It's like he has shown zero dog so far.
Oh, you're right. You're right. His first win was a backdoor, right? Is that correct? Or second?
Yeah, the Omega. Yeah,
the Omega. Okay.
Bits. But it's like it Krantz, which shout out Krantz. But
it's a sick course.
We can't be crowning the guy yet. It's not fair to him.
No. Yeah, it's not fair at all to him. It's not.
So that's the state of the union on Ludvig. Like I said, at the end of the day, if the Viking Cup succeeds, it's good with I'm rooting for that. So and ultimately, what the other take about him was he can't putt, he can't make short 10-footers under pressure. He lost 2 strokes on the week putting durs, and that would ultimately be my other question: how does being sick cause you to suck at putting?
Yeah, he missed. He 3-putt from 3 feet on Saturday. So tough.
Yeah, just grit, buckle up, knock the putts in. Flu game. Could have been. It wasn't. He'll be at Pebble. We're getting to Pebble. People.
I can't wait for someone to comment. Skip to X time.
Somebody's gonna be listening. Skip ahead. That's fine. But somebody made a good point a few weeks ago too to me in the Discord. It's like at the end of the day, your loyal listeners are your loyal listeners. Like that's who we should be keeping in our head, and they like to hear our takes on the players. We like to talk about the tennis. It all ties together. But either way, yeah. If you're skipping ahead and you're here for Pebble, this is where we can start. The just classic. All right, Pebble Beach pod. We're starting only talking about Pebble Beach. This is that moment. We appreciate everybody who, like we say it a million times, we appreciate the listeners, and we hope that you enjoy the full pod. But what you said, I'm not even going to give my takes on Pebble because you said this is your course. You've had success here before. What has that success been at Pebble? And how do you feel about it from a betting perspective? And what kind of players are we looking for this week at the Pebble Beach Golf Links? They're playing Pebble and Spyglass. Is that correct? Just those two?
I believe so. Yes.
So they've rotated. Last year was the same, but it used to be 3-course rotation. Now it's just Spyglass and Pebble. What do we need to look for?
Yeah, this is one of the heaviest, at least in my opinion, just strokes gain approach. Hit your irons and middle irons well, spike there, and hopefully get hot with the putter. So I'm going to be sorting by hot iron players, trending iron players, even maybe trending iron players from 100 rounds back to last season because we're getting a nice field with guys making their first starts. I think we're going to see someone win this week that hasn't really played much to start the season. So I'm excited for the week.
I'm gonna take the other side of that. Other side.
Usually I'm with you on there, but it hasn't worked for me
because I looked at this morning actually because I was wondering about that. I was like, how do we think about that? Some guys have gotten reasonable reps and some haven't. Let me give you the last 6 winners here at Pebble. I could go back further, but I didn't have enough time. Wyndham Clark played the Amex. He was 229 at Century, so he got some Florida reps. His win doesn't count. Also, by the way, for the rest of this pod, anything we say refers to the 2023 Pebble Beach and before. Last year doesn't count. Justin Rose, he had played at Torrey.
Had him.
Tom Hoagie was second at the Amex.
Had him.
Daniel Berger was T7 at the Sony. Nick Taylor had played the Amex, and Phil Mickelson was T2 at Amex. So not only have a lot of these guys had reasonable finishes, like they've all made cuts, they've all played, a lot of them had West Coast reps as well. I ultimately think that or at least where the reason I'm going on the other side of you for this week is I really like guys who have played. I know the grasses are different at the Amex, but you're still in California. You're still out west. Yeah. You're still not a lot of golfers live out west. Most of them live in the Bermuda and out on the East Coast, down in Florida with you. But also getting to Torrey, playing well at Torrey, if you were putting well at Torrey, you're going to Pebble feeling comfortable. And if you're hitting your irons good, you're like, oh, this driving's I'm going to be in the fairway all the time here, taking fewer clubs off the tee. So we'll see. How should we wager upon this? How should we decide what the bet is?
I think if you've played more than one event, that'll be like the litmus test. Like because Century is like whatever. I think if you play 2 events, that'll be the test.
I'll go as far. How about I'll go as far and say that the winner will have played either Torrey or Amex.
Okay. I mean, I don't know what I'm gonna do yet, like betting wise, but I'm just saying right now, I'm open to betting guys that haven't played much.
I'm sure I'll bet guys who don't fit this description, honestly, because I usually don't stick by that. It's golf. Random things happen. I'm gonna pick a few guys for different reasons, but purely for the gist of our bet right here on the pod, we'll do $5 on if the winner played at Torrey or Amex, then I win. If they didn't play Torrey or Amex, then you win. We're gonna do that.
Beautiful. I'm in.
Scottie's back, Jersey. That's another reason why golf season is back. At the end of the day, Scottie has become the face of golf. I don't know how you could really argue with that. He won every tournament he's ever played in last year effectively. He played well here as well, but he's been injured. He's been out. He hurt his hand, some mysterious glass-related injury to the hand. We didn't see him at Century. We didn't see him at the Amex, which he always plays, but he's here now. To me, that adds to the fact that golf is back, because I feel like there's a lot of people, if Scottie's playing, that's a real golf tournament to the average fan. If Scottie's not playing, they're like, well, did they beat Scottie? Well, I don't really care about that if they didn't. That adds some excitement to this week as well, for sure. And I'm just, even though it doesn't help from a betting perspective, as a fan of golf and as somebody who, we do a podcast and make a site based on the popularity of golf, we need Scottie in the tournament, and I'm glad that he's back. How do you feel about Scottie making his return this week?
Yeah, he should. I assume he's just going to come back seamlessly and have another comfortable T6 finish or mix maybe. I'm done trying to be cute with Scottie. He's fucking amazing. He's going to play well this week, and he's the rightful favorite at 3.5 to 1. Funny odds, 3.5 than 10. I feel like I haven't seen that maybe ever. So, shout out Scottie.
He striped here last year. I think, obviously, we're not talking about Scottie from a betting perspective because we never even would bet Scottie at plus 300, plus 350. Sometimes we would maybe play the without Scottie market if we felt like he was a certainty
Scott
to win. And I think, and I think part of it too is you mentioned the odds, and we're going to talk down the odds board. We're only referencing DraftKings because it's Sunday. I think the odds will change reasonably versus where DraftKings has them right now. But yeah, Scottie's going to be a big favorite. I think I talked about this in the first pod of the year when we found out that he wasn't playing the Century. I agree with you. It's so, if you give a Scottie take, you easily know that it could just slap you right in the face so quickly. If you say Scottie's not going to win, or Scottie's going to get off to a slow start to the year. But I'll just give my honest opinion. Scottie's a golfing robot. Scottie plays his best golf when he is in rhythm and he's doing stuff that he is familiar with. Pebble's not a course that he has played a ton in his career. Pebble, he hasn't had his normal lead into the season that he normally has. He, no matter what, has not been able to practice as much as he normally does. And Scottie is a guy who practices all the time. He's as good as he is because he is deeply committed to his craft. Yes, is he an amazing golfer? I think at the end of the day, I have to kind of say that I'm not really that worried at all about him like messing up this week from a betting perspective. It's so hard for me to see. And if he does, then we're so screwed because he literally
so comically screwed. I actually wonder how much he's been playing. Probably like not much at all if he said he couldn't swing. So definitely interesting to see, Scottie. And like you said, of course he hasn't played much. And it's not really a Scottie Scheffler golf course, really. I mean, yeah, he can get really hot with the irons and just on these small greens. I mean, every golf course is Scottie Scheffler golf course.
Besides
Putners. Yeah. But he doesn't have the ability at this golf course to really take advantage with the driver. So definitely could be an interesting week if he's not doing all those things.
Only worst case scenario, because I agree, I don't think he's been practicing much. I mean, we didn't even know if he was going to play this event up until pretty recently. Like, I think he didn't know if he was going to play this event up until a few days before he announced last week. The only way I think he just shows up and we're like, we should have thought about this, is if all he's been able to do, for example, is maybe putt. Maybe he's been doing some putting. And he's gotten his putting dialed, and he is the golfing machine. So like, it doesn't take him. He probably swings the clubs for like 5 minutes, and he's like, "Yep, I got it again."
Do this. Yeah,
that would be like. I think that's the worst case scenario. Scottie's only been practicing his putting, and he shows up and he's just like minting 10-footers, because that'd be my other reason I don't love him at Pebble. These are tricky greens. This is Poa. This is not Scottie's like forte, but maybe he's been getting the putter dialed in. That'd be my only concern.
Yeah, we'll have to see, I guess.
Rory's playing. Is that true? Is Rory actually playing? I couldn't believe it when I saw it in the odds.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. It's an elevated event. I think he has to. I think he's over getting slack for skipping out on some. So Rory's here. Event that he did.
Flying from Monday night from TGL out to Pebble after being in Dubai. Like, are we sure he's playing the event?
We're not sure. I mean, honestly, by the time you're listening to this pod, he could have withdrawn this Sunday. So as of now, he's playing. Yeah, 10-1.
All right. Well, Rory's, are we considering betting it in any way, shape, or form?
No, maybe no.
Are we? I need to hear from you on are you guaranteeing me that your card will not have Rory?
Oh, no.
See, exactly. That's why I think that there's a chance that Rory could be bet this week. And if you're at least thinking about it, I need to hear. I'm not saying you're even close to doing it, but the fact that you can't pledge that you won't, I need you to explain to the people why you'd even consider Rory this week. Because I bet there's a shit ton of people who are not considering Rory whatsoever. I'd put myself in that boat. What is the angle for Rory winning this golf tournament?
It's lower than -10. That's it. That's the only reason. And he only wins at -10 or lower.
So there's enough birdies out there.
Enough birdies to be made. Yeah.
Rory can win. Okay. All right.
I mean, there's a 1% chance I'm going to bet Rory, because I don't like that. There's a golf course that can lead to a lot of different winners. A lot of guys that generally can't win on big golf courses and big fields, but golfers down the board that like Nick Taylors of the world, Austin Eckroats, Tom Hoagies, they could win on this golf course where they can't really win on a massive U.S. Open test with the same field. So I'm not going to put all my eggs in the Rory basket, especially he hasn't played much, especially all this traveling. I do like the guy below him though, for sure.
Yeah, and what I'll add to that too, as you said, that's another reason why I kind of am excited about guys who have gotten some reps at like the Amex or at Torrey or even at Sony and have played well. Is like, you can carry that momentum here to a golf course where literally anybody could win. And we've seen reasonably big priced winners win this event multiple years in a row. Obviously, Wyndham's doesn't count, but they still paid the money out. So technically, from that perspective, it does count. And he was well down the board last year. Obviously, Rose the year before was in the middle of the board. Hoagie was down the board. Who are the guys that you said your Pebble is your place? Who have you hit?
3 in a row. Berger, Hoagie, Rose.
Generational flusher trio.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And they're all.
I mean, if you want to know that iron play matters and that like distance or being like a power driver is basically meaningless here, that crew of winners.
Yeah. And you had Brendan Todd that week. They were duking it out. Brendan Todd versus Jay Rose.
That's bad beat. Rose makes a hole in one. Rose makes like infinity feet of putts.
And Kurt was there too. Kurt absolutely ejected. It was eject
Keith
city.
Mitchell was there. That year was proof that anybody can play good at Pebble, because Keith Mitchell was there. He was just nuking drives down the middle.
Todd, yeah.
Anybody can mix at Pebble, and I agree. I'm going to want more guys down the board. But you just mentioned you like the guy below him. This next tier, they're all 16-1-ish, 15 for Collin right now in DraftKings. Like we said, we're using DraftKings because it's Sunday, but these odds might change. Collin, Ludvig, JT. Who do you like the most and the least there?
I think I like the most Collin. I really do like Collin. He was just like finding his groove. Obviously, runner up at the Century, played unbelievable golf, and we're in California. Should be comfortable on these surfaces. Doesn't have any amazing course history here, but on paper it should suit Collin's style of play. Talked about those iron players, and that's what he does best. He feels hungry. I feel like he wants to win soon. I mean, obviously. So I think he's my favorite. JT, I think is gonna get lapped a little bit. I know he's been playing some good golf, but some weak fields. Ludvig, I think he's been playing a ton too, and I just think he's overall better than JT right now, and he's played well here before. I believe. I think he played really well here last year,
Yeah.
and he's when he gets those wedges dialed, which he did not last week, but he overall looked okay before he ejected on the weekend. Hopefully, he's feeling better. So I would go Collin, Ludvig, JT to rank those three.
I'm going to go. I agree with you that I'm going to put JT last there just because he's putted these greens horrifically in his career. And we know that's the big question mark with JT every week is can he putt? Can he not putt? He started to putt okay last couple of weeks, but he's Amex. I'm not going to compare the greens
Well,
to
at TGL.
If you can putt the TGL greens, you can putt that's what we need to start seeing. You need to, I know you've been watching closely. I know I have the ability to get boots there. Is there anything that translates between the TGL courses? Like if we see, some guy who is making every putt on the TGL greens, they show up the next week, they're making putts, then we start monitoring the situation there. But JT, I don't trust him with the flat stick. Even after everything I just said about Ludvig, I'm not betting any of these guys, I don't think, because they're below 20-1, so I'm not betting them. Right. Which so far this year, I haven't picked the right golfer that's above 20-1, but at least that stance has been so far so good for me this year. The 20-1 guys below have not won or really come close to winning. I'll go Ludvig. Again, I'm not going to bet him to win, but if I think who finishes the highest of these three are the three that I trust the most, just based on the performance last year, the fact that he just played Torrey. The North course is a much better comparison, in my opinion, to Pebble than the South course would be. He went nuts on the North course. Sure. I'll go Ludvig. And then Collin is just like, I just can't do the Collin thing right now. Until he wins a tournament where Scottie Scheffler is in the field, it's just a no-go for me, honestly.
Yeah, I used to bet Collin so much, like literally often. And when 2 years ago when Collin won his majors and stuff, I was a Collin guy, but I haven't bet him in like a long time. Even maybe I think last year, maybe twice, maybe once last year. So this is the first time I'm really considering Collin in a long while.
20-1 tier, Jers, the range of despair. We just talked about it. 3 golfers. A guy with dog, a guy who I thought for a second there was going to witness no dog on the leaderboard and said, fuck it, I'm just going to win this week at Torrey. He did not. He went the other way. That's Hideki. He's 20-1. Sungjae, just talked about him. He's 22-1. And Patrick Cantlay, another course where Patrick has had some success. Another guy who doesn't win golf tournaments. Another guy that you saw. Another guy who's always 22-1 and always disappoints. Are you going to bet any of those guys? And if you had to bet one, who would you go with?
I would go with Patrick Cantlay, but I had a talk with Joe Idoni at TGL. Shout out Joe. Those guys that are in TGL, I feel like, I mean, they're the best players on tour, but they're also like getting older, and there's so many young talents that I can see a world where like one of those JT, Patrick Cantlay, Justin Thomas, like one of those three never gonna win again. I could really see that happening, truthfully, because like they're not grinding like they used to grind in terms of practicing like when they were younger, and like how much do they really care, truthfully? So about winning.
Patrick Cantlay doesn't care. I'm sure of that. I don't know if he doesn't care or if he's just so beaten down by how badly he plays in majors that he kind of like, fuck, like it's just not going to happen for me. I still believe that he has dog. Like Cantlay's in the dog rankings. When he mixes hard. He just doesn't mix that often. He just doesn't get up there. He's kind of like Sungjae. The guy I would pick here just purely on dog is Hideki. He's 20-1 again, Jersey. Yeah. He's probably going to drift into the mid-20s by the time the tournament starts. He can win. That's why I would pick
He's playing some good golf. Yeah, makes sense.
And he's gotten the reps of the stuff we just talked about. There's a guy playing this week in the 30s, Jersey, who I forgot was on the PGA Tour. That's Tommy Fleetwood. He's playing this week. He's 30-1. I'm sure at 30-1, there's going to be people screaming from the rooftops. This is the week for Tommy at 30-1. Burns is in the 30s, and so is Matt McNeely. Home game, famously most tipped in like the 20s here. Previously, I was on him last week. Disgraceful performance at Torrey. He was playing good. He was in the mix in the second round, playing good at Torrey, and he 3-putted like multiple holes in a row. It was horrible to fall out of the mix. Tommy
Hideki striped so hard last week, by the way.
Hideki will probably win at 25-1, and no one will be on him. And we're going to come on here and go like, how many times does Hideki need to win before we just automatically bet him at 25-1? So like, it is what it is. But in the 30s, Tommy, Sam Burns, or Mav McNeely. Sam's been playing well. He played well last year, and then Tommy's Tommy. And any of those interest you?
No, I like Tommy actually. I don't know if I can't bet him. I don't think I bet him. But I do like Tommy on this golf course. I don't believe he's done anything to note here in terms of course history. It's not really a Tommy course in like that he's played well, but I think I like it. I like it if it gets tough, if it gets a little windy, which we know it can because they love playing this event in the one of the worst weather seasons for California.
Quick note there, Jers, on the weather, because I've had boots in Northern California for the better part of 3 months. The weather here has been mint conditions. It's sunny and 60 every single day, and it's been that way for weeks and weeks on end. So I do think from a course conditioning perspective, and I actually have a buddy who's down there. We'll get some boots reports on the course conditions. I'll get those in the Discord. But I'm expecting like a mint condition Pebble, like really? Good, like for as good as it can possibly be for this time of year. Because obviously I'm in San Francisco. It rains more. It's different conditions out on the coast in Monterey. But overall, quality conditions. So just keep that in mind this week. So I think it could be a little bit tougher.
This is one of the most like Monday finished events of all time because they just love to have it this time of year for some reason. But if it does get bad, I like Tommy in that sense. But you're telling me that the weather looks nice. We'll have a future outlook on that on the site. So get over there. But I think out of those three, I would go with Tommy.
I'm gonna go with Sam. I'm gonna give Sam another look this week. I'm not committing to betting him this week, but I think it's a fine number on Sam. He's been playing consistent golf for an extended period of time now. He got some good reps in already. T8 at Century, T29 at the Amex. Played well here last year. He was 10th. And what I like about him is the putter has, as we talked about maybe last event that he was in, has really returned to form, and he putted great at the Amex. You give him wedges, and you saw him at Century, and your report on Sam was that the driver looked comfortable. That's the same thing we saw at Troon, and that's kind of when things started to restart for Sam when he started to play better. Give him wedges, and he'll solve these negative approach events that he's had the last few weeks. And I think there's a path for Sam here. Yeah,
I definitely agree with you. And I'm going to Vic lap that Boots thing because that was his best driving week in a long time at the Century. Yeah, the approach play has been so bad for Sam. So he is better with wedges.
Yeah, it's all long irons. Like he's just not a good long iron player. He misses so many greens with his long irons that I think he could do with the wedges, and the price is all right. So I'll give Sam a look. In the 40s, we got Corey Connors, Jason Day, Ben On, and Keegan Bradley. Keegan has dog. Keegan continues to play well. Corey Connors doesn't have dog. I'm sure Corey Connors for a hole-in-one this week. Mark that down.
Okay.
I think Corey gets a hole-in-one this week.
Probably realistic.
Then Day Malbon. What a week for Malbon. I mean, it was the talk of the town, Jers. Everybody was talking about Malbon. I know you were down at the PGA show as well. And then Ben On. So Connors, Day, Ben On, and Bradley. Do you think the Malbon man continues the form? Who do you like here in the 40s range?
Ben On is always has been priced so weird for like so long. I would go with Connors here. I think I would go with Connors. Course fit makes a ton of sense. A golf course that he should feel comfortable on and should have a know that is an elevated event, one of his best chances to make money in. So I'll go with Connors there.
Let me look at Connors' course history. Terrible. I worry about Connors. I worry about him with the putter here. That would be my concern with when I went to go look at Corey. I was like, is he making putts or not at this course at all? That concerns me. It's been kind of the obvious answer week in, week out in this range. We keep talking about him. I guess I'll just go with Keegan again. Keegan is focused.
This is a much better price. Yeah.
Keegan is
I was out on his money.
He's playing good. A guy who can win Travelers can win Pebble. He's played here 3 times. He has a T15 and a T11. So he
played here 3 times?
Yeah, he played the 2011. He must not have liked the Pro-Am format because he played here in 2011, was T15. Didn't play again until the U.S. Open where he missed the cut, and then he played last year where he was T11. But with his focus right now and with just the vibe around Keegan has changed entirely. I think Keegan's one of those guys that wasn't like people going out of their way to root for Keegan's style of golfer. But now because of the Ryder Cup, every time Keegan rolls up, people are hyped. So I just like the vibe around Keegan. Maybe 45-1.
Yeah, he's striping comically hard right now, truthfully.
He's just good. He's just good. In the 50s, Jers, we got a lot of guys at 50. I think these are the range where a lot of these guys are going to drift in the odds because, again, these are just DraftKings in the 50s. I'm going to give you a ton of names here. I'm going to drop somebody. The timestamp on this is going to be like every player in the field. But There's a lot of guys here, and I'll drop a quick note as I kind of go through them. Zal, and then I just want you to pick anyone who jumps out in your head as like could win the golf tournament this week, and anyone who has absolutely no chance. So it's going to be a lot. You're going to really need to dial in here.
Okay.
Zal, WD last week. Zal was allegedly going to win the tournament in the 20s last week and showed Dog. I'm kind of happy that he didn't play last week so that we didn't have to go through him getting in the mix and then ultimately letting the folks down. But he's here, 50-1, much better price than he would have been last week. Finau's here in the 50s. Shane Lowry in the 50s. Apparently, I forgot Lowry was even in the field last week until I was looking through the stuff.
Did he miss the cut?
I think he might have. It was an unserious performance. Yeah. Your boy Sepp, fresh off the win for you at the Amex. Teagues, you were on him last week. Kind of seemed like an indifferent performance from him. A guy who's surprising at 50-1, who's been winning golf tournaments and want to know who seems like a good pebble course, make putts on slow greens, the coast, the ocean. Bobby Mack is 50-1. Jers, I kind of like that. Rasmus is coming over from the DP. He's 50-1. Grazerman.
He can fill it up.
He can fill it up. He can keep your eyes on Rasmus. Cold too. I think I like the Nordic guys this week. I like him every week, but I like him extra here. Grazerman finally didn't play good. He still played fine, but he wasn't great last week. Spieth is back. There's so much going on this week. Spieth is back. Pebble specialist. He's 51. Wyndham defending champ at 55. Victor Hovland off of the Shanks in Dubai at 55, and then Pendy at 55. Who in there can win the golf tournament this week?
I don't mind. I don't know if Lowry can win the golf tournament, but I like his. I don't mind the number, and I don't mind the. He hit it well in his first start at the season at Torrey, and he putt really poorly. Now he's not a great putter. His 3-putt streak came to an end right after I tweeted about it, which is kind of insane. But I don't like Sahith. I don't mind going back to Sahith. He did not play well, and his stats weren't good either. But it doesn't matter. This is Sahith in California. It does not matter. The number is just Sahith. So I like Sahith and Lowry from that range you just ripped off.
Hold on.
Also Rasmus too.
Let me look at Teague's stat. Wow, Teague's played.
He shot 7 over with Ludvig on Sunday. They both did.
Interesting. Yeah, hopefully Teague's actually is in the 70s by the time the tournament goes off, because then I'd be down. I think I'm gonna at the end of the day with most of these guys, I'm gonna kind of wait and see how they move. I will say I like Bobby Mack just purely from a dog perspective, purely from like a course fit, slow kind of West Coast greens, view of the ocean. It's early February out on the California coast. Bobby Mack should be very comfortable. Did he play here last?
Did you mention Pendrith because in that range? Because I also like him. He has been solid. He's been solid to start the season, and he backdoor comfy T7 last week. Just putt so poorly. He put so bad last week, but he hit it really well, and he's the Alpha Canadian in my opinion.
Did Bobby Mack play the West Coast last year? Yeah, he was not ready. He putted terrible on the West Coast. So,
he wasn't ready then. Like he wasn't ready. That was his first 2 starts. He's fine now.
He's a different golfer now. State of the Union on Zal. He's your guy after being popular last week. Were you ever thinking that he could win last week?
No. But actually, when the tournament was playing, he would have mixed. It was perfect Zal condition, last week. I wasn't nervous that he was going to win, but I was nervous that he probably would have mixed, and I wouldn't have been on him because I would not being on Zal for a Zal sweat. I think the only Zal sweat I've missed was the last 2 or the Genesis. No, you were on him at Brooklyn. I was on like all of his sweats except for one of the Genesises, and that hurt me inside. So happy he didn't play last week because I wouldn't have bet him. What exact finish for Victor Hovland this week? 52. I wonder if he's gonna be bet this week because this is the best Victor number in like a long time. This is a golf course that he says he loves. He won the US Am here, and he's always popular around Pebble Week. Hopefully something visual can. I might bet Victor, honestly. What did you see from him after the Shanks?
Incompetence. I saw incompetence from him. I'm not saying don't bet him. This was what I'd say about it. I'm fine with the bet at 55-1, like just because of all those things you said and that he loves Pebble. But it was the worst golf I've ever seen from Hovland by a million billion miles. Wait. It might be his worst ball striking week of his career. He couldn't hit the ball, Jers. He was literally hit. Okay, for people who didn't see this, I think I need to tell people this story. Yeah, I didn't see it, so tell me. He on 18 in Dubai. You know that par 5 with the water in front of the green, 18 in Dubai. He was playing good. He was 3. He won there, right? Yeah, and he won there. Okay, so I saw him out of it then. No. He got off to a good start. He was kind of striping. He was like 3 under. He gets to 18. He drills a drive down the middle, which he wasn't doing. Like he was spraying it off the tee, but he happened to go drive. He was like 220 out. He chunked it into the water, like not even close, just easy iron. Like it's not a tough iron shot. You just need to carry it far enough, and you're on the green. A professional from that distance, they expected, put it that to 30 feet. Chunks it in the water, drops now like 90 yards out, still on the other side of the water, sculls it, clean fly off the grandstand behind the green.
Yeah, he's not ready.
And then from that point forward, like that broke his brain again, because I think he's obviously
he cannot.
There's a lot going on up there. He then on the front nine was like off the planet with his driver. It was so far offline. So basically that broke him, and then he was off. He's so streaky. That's why I'm fine with the 55-1, because if he finds it for a week, he can win. He has dog, but I had to share that because it was tough scene.
Speaking of Victor, real quick, you know who just started working with Joe Mayo? Sam Stevens just started, and he almost won. So Joe Mayo knows.
Stevens is a generational driver of the golf ball.
Yeah, he really is. He really is.
So, there's some interesting names here in the 60s, Jers.
Akshay.
Tom Kim, Russ Henley, Akshay has a view of the ocean, Adam Scott. And do you like any of those guys? Because all those prices seem pretty reasonable to me.
Akshay, TK, and Russ, this is a perfect golf course for them. Like, one of those guys can win easily. I can see one of those three being extremely popular. Like, you don't just hit 18 greens at Pebble Beach. Akshay did that when he was like 17. How could you forget? Akshay did that. So, I didn't love what he did in Dubai in terms of the ball striking. I don't like to see a guy of Akshay standard lose strokes ball striking in a DP World Tour event. I know it was a strong one, but still, that's not what I want to see from Akshay. But this does make sense.
I also said, we said this before that event. Like he wasn't he was there, and I saw it. I based my assessment of Akshay on does he post a hype video for the event, or does he post more photos with his girlfriend? Only photos with his girlfriend in Dubai. So I think it was more vacation. And shout out to Akshay for earning his ability to go over there and get the
he made the cut on the number with the putt. So
yeah,
you're probably right. He is just weirdo.
And I think there's a much better fit for him. I'll just say too, reason I like all four of these guys, because that price is fair on Tom Kim. Tom can win. This is a Tom Kim course. Adam Scott continues to play well. He has back-to-back top 20 finishes here.
I'm not letting you bet Adam Scott. You're gonna regret it.
I haven't done it in a while. That's actually I jumped off of him right before the stretch of good play has happened, but it hasn't hurt me yet because he hasn't won, and that's the whole point. But at least this number is somewhat fair. Max, what's going on, Jers? We had the State of the Union last week, and then it was a disaster this week. It was horrible, and still, where's Griner? What is going on here?
Yeah, where is his caddy? I will say, I think in those 2 rounds that Max Homa played, or the 1 round that was tracked, he hit his driver okay. So, and he gained a half a stroke to the field in 1 round. The driver has been green the past few weeks, which is all that matters. Him losing 3 strokes in 1 round putting, like whatever. And I think good things are coming from Max, but that unserious performance on a golf course that he should feel comfortable on. But we talked about that ahead of the week. Like the coverage around Max is like he's a lock at Torrey to play well. He won him once, and like he had another good finish. The rest of his course history is not good. So I think he's fine. Like in terms of
and it, like you said, the driving's all that matter. I think we're in the phase right now where he probably was practicing his driving so much that he wasn't able to practice his putting. And guys talk about this. Like it's not a hot take that I'm coming up with here. When you have to practice one part of your game, it can take away from the other part of your game. And the putter has been cold. I think we keep our eyes on Max for the Florida swing. He's always played sneaky well in Florida. I think we continue to monitor the situation.
I don't mind him this week. I really don't. Like
70s?
He's played well here before. I think he's got nice course history, and dog to number ratio. Like this is a good bet.
Yeah. We're getting into the long shot range here, Jers. Obviously, lots of names down here. Posties down here. Harry Hall got in the field, and Harry's not going to win. I don't think he has any dog, but this is a good course for Harry Hall to scramble around and make infinity putts. Harris off the win. Davey T's been off to a slow start. We don't like to see that. See why we're not talking about him this year, but he is 80-1. I think that's going to have some people's attention. Ben Griffin was a fade last week. He's a fade again for me this week. We're not on the Bermuda, but I guess he's 80-1 last week versus he was like super popular. Or like much lower price last week. So I'm not saying I fade him, but a good call on us.
I don't think I think you can label Ben Griffin a professional Bermuda golfer. Like he's truly his his splits on different golf courses outside of Bermuda is like it's truly comical. It's like I don't know what happens when he gets off of Bermuda, but yeah, you can't bet him here.
Did any of those guys were they of any interest to you when I talked about that last stretch? Bo Hostler, Siwoo Kim, Nick Taylor.
Nick no, T? But Cam Davis is right underneath there, and I do like him in terms of
CD
club down golf course. Yeah,
guy. I'll say I've been going to Siwoo because of the dog rankings this year. I won't give up on him yet. He has played well here before. He was T4 in 2019, T14 last year. Theoretically, of course, that Siwoo should play well, and he's been putting better. So I'm not done with Siwoo yet. Nick Taylor, he's 1 year before. He's got dog. Why not? Eckroat, Hoagie, Minwoo. So your long shot triple digit of the week before we get to random Euro of the week, is it Cam Davis or is it Nick Dunlap? Who finishes higher between CD and Nick D?
I will go CD because Nick Dunn. There's a little bit of nuance. There's a little bit nuance here for Nick Dunn, but still, he's not right. Like his golf game is not where it should be. But you don't lose dog. The girlfriend gives you more dog. So Nick Dunn could play well based on dog alone, but his game is not there yet. But he's prepping for major season, so not to worry.
Just a note on Nick D. He's gained around the greens in 5 of his last 6 starts, Jers. He's
always practicing chipping. I see him practicing chipping every time.
And that's dog. His driver is off the P, but you don't need to be on the P with the driver at Pebble.
He might not even bring his driver. Like he doesn't need the driver this week.
I'll give Dunlap a look this week. And I think people will be off of him because he played terrible here last year. But people need to remember when you look at Dunlap's course history from last year, he literally had just won the Amex and changed his entire life and decided to turn pro at golf. Meaningless what happened to him last year in this event.
You actually had a quote. Kohler, what did you quote about Adam saying about Nick Dunlap 100-1 earlier today in the car?
That he will take at Valhalla, he would take Nick Dunlap 100-1 in perpetuity.
You would take Nick Dunlap 100-1 in perpetuity in every event for the rest of your life. And Kohler talked about that from the Valhalla pod. So Nick Dunlap is 100-1.
Nick Dunlap's on the card then, because usually when I say stuff like that, like I did about Alejandro, I said I'd bet Alejandro Del Rey over 101 every event for his life. He just won at 125-1. I got to stick with these things. I'm sticking with it. I'm on done this week. Random Euro of the Week, Jers, starts once again amazingly with Matt Fitz. He was there, right? At the TGL event?
Yeah. Unserious is an understatement.
What is going on there? Because he's in.
I bet him here every all the time.
Would you bet him at 90-1 based on what you saw at TGL?
No, I truthfully wouldn't. Like I don't know what the number is, but I had to bet Matt Fitz, but he was looking tough, and I got a crazy ball knowing thing from our guy Keith Stewart about Matt Fitzpatrick's golf swing right now. So he takes it outside or takes it inside and comes back a little bit over the top, and he's a lot of whip at the top of his swing, and when that gets out of sync, obviously when you're whipping it, the window to close the face is so small versus a guy who has a more flat and still wrist, and his timing right now is so off. That's what Keith was telling me. That's because he was talking to him or whatever. So yeah, Matt Fitz is lost, and that all stems back to him getting married in the Jersey Shore, as we know. So Matt Fitz 100% out.
It's crazy how all these things tie together, and this is why when we said if you're somebody who's skipping ahead to certain parts of the pod, it has to tie together, because you gave the Matt Fitz Jersey Shore take over a year ago. And he's legitimately been falling off the face of the earth. He's 90-1 in this field. He's in random Euro of the Week. And here are the random Euro of the Week options for you, Jers. Aaron Rye, who I kind of like. Rye didn't play good last week, but this is a Rye course at over 100. All these guys are over 100-1. Dietrich, Justin Rose, defending champ. It actually is defending champ because we're not counting Wyndham's win. Johnny Vegas, you were on him last week as random Euro of the Week. Kevin Yu, Seamus Power almost won here once. Nico Etch has been playing amazing. Mackenzie Hughes, C. Bez, Hadwin, your boy, you've been on him earlier in the year. Van Royen, Pavs, terrible defense last week. He apologized on Twitter. Who's random Euro of the Week this week?
He did apologize on Twitter. I would say my random Euro of the Week is probably Kevin Yu, a noted European Kevin Yu. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's hit the ball. We missed both cuts, but he's hit the ball well. He's always an unserious putter. It hasn't been horrible with the putter, but I think he's got a T10 here, and he's striped hard both times he's played this event. Both times he's played this event, he's striped so hard. PJ Tour winner, Kevin. Wait, is he a winner?
Yeah.
He is. Yeah, PJ Tour winner, Kevin Yu.
They don't just give out.
Keith
Mitchell, it's some massive number to be first round leader. I'd get my eyes on that. Oh, I forgot Yeggs. Yeggs could play good. I was on Yeggs last week. He it's relatively unserious performance, but I think he's the type of guy who needs a start to get it back going. I took the risk that wasn't the case last week, but it seemed like it was. But he tends to bounce back and forth. I think Yeg's got a bounce back week out at Pebble. Doug Gim.
I do like Hadwin though.
Hadwin
again. But it's funny. We talked about Hadwin going into the Amex, whereas the greatest course history of all time, most tipped off, and he misses the cut like by a mile. So Hadwin, I think, will bounce back because I saw some great things from him in Hawaii.
Eric Cole for a top 20. Everything. Every dollar. Yeah. And disclaimer underneath this part of the pod, not financial advice, but Eric Cole top 20. He will not. He has 0% chance of winning the tournament. Actually, he has zero. I'll give him 0.1% chance of winning the tournament. Cole could win this week. He's not going to, but at 130 to 1, I can't fault anyone who bets Cole this week.
He's gonna mix. Like he just will. And like I've never bet Eric Cole. I'm in the camp that he's got no chance.
We did this at this is what we did on the Sony pod. You were like, I didn't bet him at 100, and for a while I thought he was going to win, but then it was clearly wasn't.
Eric Cole was like T5 heading into the weekend at the Farmers, and he finished T68. He was like in the third to last group on Saturday. He finished T68. He's got actually some of the least dog in the world. He might be on the inverse dog to talent ratio.
He does have talent. There's no question about that. I mean, look how long it took him to get to the PGA Tour. Imagine the number of times of low dog he's shown in his life before he even got to the PGA Tour. Because with his skill set, he should have been on the PGA Tour so much earlier in his career.
He flexes on like so many different types of golf courses. Remember when he was remember when he won at Oakdale or what? Fucking the U.S. Open up in New York. What's it fucking called? The PGA Championship in New York.
Oh,
no,
okay.
Oak Hill. Sorry, I don't know why I couldn't think of that. Yeah, he was first round leader, then they weather delay, and then he ejected. So
watching him hit short irons is as beautiful of a swing as that exists on the PGA Tour. I mean, it is so under control. So yeah, Cole this week, maybe I'll bet him. I don't know. Billy Ho, he has dog. He's 150 to 1. He started to play better, played good at the Amex. 151 Billy Ho this week.
Played good at TGL.
Did he look good at TGL?
Yeah, looked really good at TGL.
Dog to price ratio on Billy in the triple digits this week on a short positional course. That's hard to ignore. Glover. Ricky Fowler. Can Ricky play? Ricky got off to a reasonable start to the year. He's 121.
Yeah, there's worse bets to be made. I don't mind that.
Final guy for you. Actually, also Nico.
Alex Smalley.
Smalley's your long shot. How did you play last week? Because you were high on him last week.
Missed the cut. Bad bet. But he's hitting the ball so well right now. So I'm down for Smalley.
Where's Stanford? We got to watch out for the Stanford specialist this week too. Out on the West Coast, where's Stanford specialist?
Adam was talking about some Stanford specialist. I assume it was it wasn't Maverick McNeely, but it could have been. I'm not sure what Stanford specialist he was talking about, but I do want to talk about the low Stanford market because there's so many Stanford golfers every single week, and we have to start tracking the low Stanford player in the field because like we do with the low Viking, the low everything, low Stanford. Stanford can host their own Ryder Cup team and compete with the President's Cup team, the Viking Cup team, and the American Ryder Cup team. So yeah, I don't know where Adam is, but I'm just gonna keep going, I guess, until we'll cut this out. But yeah, that's Pebble Beach. That is Pebble Beach. We also have the Bahrain Championship coming on the DP World Tour. Dylan Fratelli is the defending championship. If that tells you anything you want to know about that golf course, it's just me now. I'll give a quick rant on the Bahrain Championship. Dylan Fratelli's defending championship. Difficult golf course. Played over par last week. 13 under won it. So we don't have odds yet, but this is a field that Patrick Reed I think is going to be the favorite. You're going to have to look for guys that are can scramble well and can get it up and down when they need to. So I haven't really looked into the field, but look for difficult scores. This is only the second time they've ever had this event. So that's the Bahrain Championship. That's the pod. You know where to find us. Like and subscribe as always. And a ton of content this week. Catch you guys next week. Peace out.